a lot of children and that were very involved in the design process. So when I was thinking of all of the different constituents that we deal with on an urban project, I thought it would be interesting to actually say that in this residential project, we also had sort of 6 different constituencies, which was a fascinating experiment in terms of the use of a very, very, very tight space. We are also unusual in Boston. I don't know how much of this occurs in the Bay Area, but we're one of the very few architecture firms in Boston that has interior design fully integrated into our architectural practice. And that is an important dimension of what we do. This is actually an image of one of the lofts you saw in that first project, where we developed a what we call a concept home, which is a little different than a model unit, to show how these spaces could be used and adapted for different kinds of users. And in this case, this was a little boy's room. And we took a space that was actually quite a stark, modern space, and using all of these local artists and vendors created this image that you see here. And as a last note, we also work in the areas of retail and commercial design. This is actually, many of you I'm sure know IDEO. This is actually IDEO's offices in Cambridge. One of the reasons I included this slide was just to say that working with IDEO was very, very different than working with any of the other clients that we had, where aesthetics was really not a part of the discussion. It was all about functionality and how to create collaborative workspaces. And the aesthetic actually fell out of the process of designing for their collaboration. And that was a sort of, yet again, a different kind of set of needs for a very different kind of client. And hopefully we'll get to chat about that a little bit more, but it's my pleasure to pass it to Peter.
Good evening, everybody. As you hear from my strong accent, I'm truly Swiss, so I'm probably the only one on that panel which can talk about the Swissness today. But anyway, I would very much short introduce. Jamie told me not to get it too long, so I will try to speed up a little bit. So we are responsible since more than 10 years for designing bathrooms for Laufen. So thanks for Laufen to inviting me here. It's a short trip to the Bay Area, but thanks anyway. I thought I could stay a little bit longer, but unfortunately I have to leave back home tomorrow. Well, Laufen to us is a very nice customer because it means a lot to us. We design faucets, wash basins, showers, shower toilets, everything which surrounds us, and since the last 10 years a lot of things happen and we will hear about it in the bathroom itself. So that's quite interesting. And you may be interesting also to hear about what's ours. So I just looked through some images about new solutions of bathrooms, bathtubs. Then of course what is very strongly recommended now is a lot of storage room. And this is actually a picture from close to my home. And beside of bathrooms, we do a lot of other things. And this is one of my favorite pictures, which shows a little bit about our today's topic. This is an LED bulb. And this bulb, we try to make it as close as possible to the icon of our existing old bulbs. But this, saves, 15 times less power consumption, and it lasts at least 15 years, and the price is about 50 USD. So if you install it in a home, after 3 years it will be at least paid off. But this piece is manufactured in Taiwan. We made it for a Taiwanese company, and it's totally sold out for the next 3 years. So you can also hang it with some pictures, but unfortunately you guys have to wait until this is going to come Bay Area. Now, some other lightnings, and then of course, if we come to true functionality and usability, we have a lot of things in terms of medical design. And medical devices, I tell you, is quite serious. Not because of the people that's going to use it, but you know, they don't want to be sick. And this is a diabetes lancet for taking blood every day. So we try to not only to design it, but we also want to make an engineering piece which is pain relieving, you know, which is that gives us less pain as possible. And this is if you really need to give some blood one day, you know, then use this piece. That's probably help you a lot to save the pain. Then we do a lot of other things. I just switch to, this is a bicycle navigation system. So as you see here, you know, the connection between usability and the piece itself, you know, needs to be perfect. Otherwise, people will not buy it and will not be talking about it and will not be attracted by it in social networks. This is a color system for Pantone, where you can actually calibrate your screens. And then this one is an interesting piece. Does anyone know what that is? Well, if you are short in power, you know, you can have, if you're driving along and you see, you know, your mobile phone gets down, you know, you just easily click that outside the window of your car, and it's generating power while driving. It's a piece which came out of a stupid idea one day, because sometimes, you know, the sun is not bright enough, you know, especially if you travel, and then you need to have some other solutions. So we came up with this one, which is quite neat. And this is a project for Google. You may have heard about it, that Google is actually scanning millions of books. And for that reason, you know, they need some devices where they can do that quite quickly. And they need quite a lot of devices, because those book scanners go to a lot of libraries in Europe and in the States, in Asia, and everywhere. So sooner or later, you don't need to buy books anymore, so you can just click to Google and get them. So we designed them in a way that you see the book is lying not upside down. It's lying like there, and the software does it that you can copy it in a way that you can read it straight and not have this curve in the middle. So the software does it automatically. It's like 25 seconds for 2 pages. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was really helpful. So, for the sake of just getting us all on the same page, I thought it would be useful just to talk for a couple minutes about the concept of a hierarchy of needs. This is very, very basic.
Strongly recommend now is a lot of storage room, and this is actually a picture from close to my home. And beside of bathrooms, we do a lot of other things. And this is one of my favorite pictures, which shows a little bit about our today's topic. This is an LED bulb, and this bulb, we try to make it as close as possible to the icon of our existing old bulbs. But this, you know, saves, you know, 15 times less power consumption, and it lasts at least 15 years. And the price is about 50 USD. So if you install it in a home, you know, after 3 years it will be at least paid off. But you know, this piece is manufactured in Taiwan. We made it for a Taiwanese company, and it's totally sold out for the next 3 years. So you can also hang it with some pictures, but unfortunately you guys have to wait. This is going to come to the Bay Area. Now, some other lightnings, and then of course, if we come to true functionality and usability, we have a lot of things in terms of medical design. And medical devices, I tell you is quite serious. Not because of the people that's going to use it, but they don't want to be sick. And this is a diabetes lancet for taking blood every day. So we do a lot of other things. I just switch to, this is a bicycle navigation system. So as you see here, the connection between usability and the piece itself, needs to be perfect. Otherwise, people will not buy it and will not be talking about it and will not people attracted by it in social networks. This is a color system for Pantone, where you can actually calibrate your screens. And then this one is an interesting piece. Does anyone know what that is? Well, if you are short in power, you can have, if you're driving along and you see, your mobile phone gets down, you just easily click that outside the window of your car, and it's generating power while driving. It's a piece which came out of a stupid idea one day, because sometimes the sun is not bright enough, especially if you travel. And then you need to have some other solutions, so we came up with this one, which is quite neat. And this is a project for Google. You may have heard about it, that Google is actually scanning millions of books. And for that reason, they need some devices where they can do that quite quickly. And they need quite a lot of devices, because those book scanners go to a lot of libraries in Europe and in the States and Asia and everywhere. So sooner or later you don't need to buy books anymore, so you can just click to Google and get them. So we designed them in a way that you see the book is lying not upside down, it's lying like there, and the software does it that you can copy it in a way that you can read it straight and not have this curve in the middle. So the software does it automatically. It's like 25 seconds for 2 pages. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was really helpful. So, for the sake of just getting us all on the same page, I thought it would be useful just to talk for a couple minutes about the concept of a hierarchy of needs. This is very, very basic level, but I thought it was so useful. Since we all have the benefit of Google to refresh our memories about it, I figured it would be useful to mention it now. On the left here we have the original concept of a hierarchy of needs, which was proposed by Abraham Maslow in 1943. He's considered the father of humanistic psychology. And basically the idea is that there's sort of a pecking order of human needs. At the bottom of the pyramid are physiological needs, things that you really need to survive, like breathing, food and water. And then as you climb the pyramid, they become a little bit more intangible. Things like concepts like safety, love, belonging, esteem, and then at the top, the concept of self-actualization. And Maslow said that needs must be satisfied in a given order. So according to his theory, on the basic level, if you're starving, you're not going to necessarily work well on a team, or you're not going to be overly concerned with prestige or spiritual growth. But of course, some people consider it, well, a lot of people consider it somewhat outdated, and also doesn't account for things, puzzling things like the starving artist, who is obviously seeking sort of self-actualization and growth before they're faced